Okay, it says we're live. To get Estelle just to introduce herself and tell us about a little bit about her awesomeness, what she's passionate about. Go for it.
Okay, well, thank you, Mandy, for inviting me on, first of all. It's just an honour to be here and talk to your audience as well. So welcome, everybody. As Mandy said, I'm Estelle from Smart Healthy Women magazine, and I'm the editor and founder of Smart Healthy Women magazine. And what I'm passionate about is actually empowering women or helping women empower themselves, more to the point, with tips and strategies that actually work. So that's me in a nutshell. I actually present articles and information from coaches and experts all around the world in their particular specialty, and it's, in any area of interest to women. So that's a broad spectrum. So I think that's it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how I met you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're one of my authors. So yeah. Awesome.
Very, very
And I'm in awe of your work as well. Actually, I'm in awe of all the people that write for me. They're just really fantastic skill set, and they also have the passion to help people out in the world as well. So,
we're all in alignment with each other, see?
yeah, that's what we like.
That's it. Hey, Samantha. Samantha just says hi. I'll show that on here so that it comes up. There we go. Hey.
Hey, Samantha.
Awesome. And so I was going to ask you, like, how did you get started with the magazine? Like, sort of, and I know it's ventured off into the podcast as well, but how did you get started with the magazine? Like, was there like something that just inspired you to say, hey, I need to do this?
Yeah. I guess it's an interesting story, but I did start Smart Healthy Women as a local women's business group because I was connected with a lot of business women in my local area in a network of business women. So I thought, what I noticed with networking events is that everybody was just trying to sell themselves, and basically what I wanted to do was create a safe space for women where they could talk about their challenges and hopefully get some actual help in terms of how to build their business and stuff like that. And, after a little while, I remember distinctly waking up one morning from a dream, and somehow I had this idea in my head for Smart Healthy Women to be a magazine, and a global magazine as well. And, that comes from my own coaching background. So I'm a certified life coach and an NLP practitioner as well. And, I was seeing clients one-on-one, and, that was all well and good, but I had a bigger vision. So that's what, kicked me out of my sleep one morning to say, well, this is what you need to do. And of course, when we get guidance like that, we actually have to follow it and see where it leads us. So, it's been a bit of a merry journey for me for 5 years doing the magazine, meeting, wonderful authors, both male and female from around the world, that have a passion for helping women to live better lives and, more informed lives as well. And, it's just been a roller coaster from there, really.
And a very cool one at that.
Yeah. It's good being a publisher. I've never done publishing before, so I have been doing it for 5 years. So it is a big learning curve.
You're awesome at it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I do have a passion for words as well, which is why I guess it's a written magazine. The magazine is only online, Save the Trees. And so I really, I remember standing at the supermarket checkout one day and looking at all the magazines that were propped up on the stand there. And it was just, to be frank, it was all quite rubbish, really. And I had zero interest in reading any of it. And it's all, it's sort of like, they tend to not do a service to women. I think these women's magazines, and I'm not naming any names or anything, but what I'm talking about, because they do talk to, or they do try and connect with the lowest common denominator in the population, and so they tend to have things like what's gossip and distractions, and but really I wanted to bring something else to the table that was actually more nutritious, I guess, from an information point of view. So, it's sort of like
inspiring and empowering rather than like adding more fear to women.
Yeah, we don't need that. I mean, we cop that from the minute we bounce out of the womb ourselves. So we really need a bit more empowerment and a bit more permission to be ourselves. And, the other thing is that I'm passionate about is helping women to find their joy, because if we can find our joy, connect with our joy, then that just benefits everybody in our sphere and, the world at large eventually. So,
yeah. And from like a coaching point of view, how are you able to sort of bring some of that? Because obviously, being a life coach and NLP coach, that would have, really, you'd be able to bring those skills into what you're doing as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, what I love about that is, first of all, taking responsibility for everything that's in my world. And that comes from, from the coach training as well. So, if something's going to change, it's up to me to do it in my world. So, that's, and that's also, I think, a message that, could get out to more people in terms of, you see a lot of people that are in a lot of pain. And I don't mean physical pain, I mean emotional pain. And, it really does take a step to wind back and bring that back to yourself and realise that you do have the power to change it. And, there's so much in the world today about victimhood, victim blaming and, all this victimisation. And I really don't use that word in my vocabulary, even though I just said it. I don't use it, in my own experience. Yeah. So it's sort of like, well, how can I take responsibility for what's happening now? And it's not blaming. It's actually, I can do something about it and change it. And, just by doing certain steps and so on. So, that's sort of what's come. That's probably what I try and engender in the magazine, is to say, well, this is, you can do something about whatever situation you're in, even if you can turn it on, just a little bit more towards the positive. It's better than it was. And, you can gain some momentum as well in your life once you realise that your focus really does work in terms of what you're bringing in. So, yeah.
And how has it inspired you? Because obviously, like you said, right, this is what I'm going to do now. And you've been on this journey for 5 years. And how has it impacted your life doing this?
That's such a good question. I probably don't recognise myself from when I started because, I didn't have a lot of confidence in my skills. I always thought other people were better than me. And I've just kept going for some reason. And I think it was that message that I got in that, I don't know if it was a dream or it was just waking up with this knowing that I had to do something with this. And I've just still, I've kept that strong, even when things haven't been so good, with trying to build things up and things are slow and people aren't reading it, or, you're just getting, when you put something out in the world and your heart's in it and you get absolutely no interaction whatsoever and you think, why am I doing this? But you know what? I'm not a quitter. That's something that I realised. I'm not a quitter, so I'm going to keep going. So, and eventually it will lead to where the vision is. And it's really interesting because all of the authors that write for me and that have written for me in the past, they are also passionate about what I'm doing. And that actually keeps me going. It really does. So
yeah. Well, I'm very passionate, and even though we don't keep in contact a lot, I'm always following what you're doing. So
thank you. And ditto.
I love seeing what you're doing, and so for me, watching from the sidelines, of some of the cool stuff that you've done so much cool stuff over the years. And so, I even remember I was super honored when I got to be an author, and even on the podcast, I was like, oh, thanks so much, because I love what you do. I think it's epic, and I think that there's such a huge need for what you do as well, because as you said, women do need to be inspired, guys do need to be inspired too, and I think that being able to be able to read something or be involved in something or participate in something that is very uplifting rather than encouraging comparison or negativity is making a huge impact on the world. So that's why I think you rock.
Thank you.
Just saying. And so has it been how you have obviously you're doing the podcast, and we'll talk about that as well. But with the follow-up from that, has it been sort of really cool because you decided to follow your purpose and your dream with the magazine? Has there sort of been really cool opportunities maybe that have come up for you because of that? Or
Yeah, it's probably as an introvert, I don't really sort of go out sort of driving and looking for opportunities and things. I just sort of sit in, my office and push out the work that I do. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because you mentioned the podcast, and one of my marketing coach actually told me that podcasting was a really cool way to meet and reach a whole
Yeah.
heap of other people in the world, and because it's a different media, and
Yes.
sorry, Mandy, you've disappeared.
Oh, right.
I might keep talking.
Can you hear me? We're still waiting for your awesomeness.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I just thought the whole thing had shut down, so I thought, I think I might just step outside for a minute. But
And,
thank you. Thank you for being patient.
Filling us in and updating us, haven't you, Samantha? So, she's been telling us she can still hear and see us, and what's going
cool.
on.
I couldn't see that, so apologies again. So, just to jump straight back on that horse, yeah. So I guess one of the cool things about the podcast is that I get to meet all of the authors that have been writing for me, because, as you know, on the online world, you don't always get to connect visually or auditorily with people that you're working with. So one of the great things, because I pre-record the podcast on Zoom, but I just provide the audio. But I love just being able to see my authors and connect with them, have a chat, and it's such a different experience than just emailing. My God, it's amazing. So I've just been really, really, really enjoying the podcasting. So I'll continue doing that as well.
Yeah, and have you found too that like doing the podcast has actually sort of helped the readership in any way, or it's just sort of been like a different medium altogether? So they've just have like their own separate audience, or?
I think I'm not sure, because they don't actually give me details about who's consuming the podcast. So I know how many people download and how many, so I sort of get an indication that how many people are listening. And I know by episode which ones are the more popular ones by the number of downloads they've had. So, it's interesting. But that's, just as much about me promoting it as well as the author themselves or the expert themselves promoting their own work, So that's the other interesting thing that I should mention about doing the magazine, is that, often I'll get people coming in and writing for me, and it's almost like they airdrop an article and then they go, and I never see them again, and I never hear from them again. And it's like, it's really interesting. And I think, wow, I wonder why people do that. It's sort of like, I would like to, know more about what they're doing, and, and keep them in the magazine, and keep doing articles and that. But, obviously other people have got their busy schedules and their own focus. But the other thing is
also
that
people aren't kind of like sure how to communicate. Like, I guess for me, because I'm like watching what you're doing, and if I see an email come through or something like that, I'll speak up. But I mean, the thing is I think people kind of are a little bit, they don't know if they should say, hey, it's me again, or whatever, because they don't want to hold the articles or anything like that, So, but I think it's just like, I mean, for me, even when I've done like interviews and stuff like this and podcasts, I kind of, we do fall out of touch a little bit, but I still like to message people here and there and just like let them know that because I think it's cool to have nice friendships as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what the podcast brings in, is actually, and it's interesting because you get one of the author's bios, but you can read a little bit about them, but it's when you connect with them on the podcast, or when I connect with these people on the podcast and actually get to find out more in depth about their stories and what brought them in, and how they, how they interact, the work that they're doing, and just the diversity of the work that they're doing. It just blows me away, really, because there's just like, there's so many skills out there and so many awesome women that are actually out there already doing all this stuff. And I think more people need to know that, and more people need to hear from them as well. So that what I'm doing, the magazine, is just a tiny little bit of that, So obviously we want more people to read the magazine, the more people to tell everybody else to read the magazine, because they need, everyone needs some good news and some hope, I think, in this world at the moment, because as you said, it is driven by fear, and that's just not good enough, because there's so much good out there that you can actually enjoy and focus on, instead of all the negative crap that they want to feed you, whoever they are, sort of, the they.
Yeah, the days.
Yes.
And I think too, it is really lovely to be able to know that there is a format, like a podcast or something that you relate to, or a magazine, that you relate to, that that you're going to get that awesome vibe from that each time, you go to it. It's like your go-to podcast or magazine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. And what exciting things have you got planned coming up for the magazine and podcast? Like, have you got, even like if you've got some cool interviews that you want to sort of like pitch on here a little bit, or, just let us know.
Okay. Well, what I'm doing right now, I'm just doing this. I'm putting together our 53rd issue of our digital magazine. So we publish on smarthealthywomen.com, which is more like a blog style newspaper magazine. And then we've also got a digital flip magazine, which you can read on the website, or you can download on Google Apps or iTunes. And I'll give you a little sneak preview. This is just my draft copy that I'm editing. I've just got to proof it.
Cool.
That's cover's going to change, by the way. That's just but it's the female entrepreneurs issue. So I've got all these really cool articles from female entrepreneurs who are out there doing the work at the moment, and their stories, and also their advice on how to do, your own business or startup, or, all those sorts of things. So, so that should be published later today.
We're looking.
As soon as we get off this podcast, I'll be publishing that, and it'll be available in the App Store within 48 hours. So I do that. It'll be available online straight away as soon as I publish.
Cool. And I wanted to ask you too, like, has there been because obviously, like, you've got this pull, obviously, to help inspire people and help transform people and uplift them and empower them. So, has there been like something in your own life that's been like a turning point or something that just, before you got into coaching? Because obviously that sort of sounds like it was the start maybe of
before I started the coaching, as I said, I'm quite an introverted person. So, it's sort of like as introverts or as empaths, we usually take on a lot of other people's energy and stuff like that. So, my whole life has been sort of discarding all that stuff that wasn't mine, that I didn't know wasn't mine. So, that's a whole work in progress. So personal development's I've always been passionate about that.
Yeah.
I worked in IT, in product sales in IT for about 10 years. And at the end of that 10 years, I went on long service leave for 3 months, but I'd started studying coaching prior to going on long service leave. And I was thinking, wow, this is just such an amazing thing that all these people are doing, all these coaches. I never heard of a life coach. Why do you need someone to coach your life, You get some funny looks from people when you tell them that you do that. So, I started studying that. I already decided that I didn't want to be in this job anymore, this, selling IT to large companies and stuff like that. It was just completely soulless. And, it just didn't do anything for me. So, and I realised that at the time. I thought, I need something that's going to feed my soul and actually make, I want to make a difference in the world. I don't want to just sit there and, make lots of money off people, buying software that they didn't probably need, or, didn't always work, and you had to, I just didn't. And I had a bit of a negative. No, it wasn't. It was helping, I guess it was helping some people, but not in the way that I wanted to, not the vision that I had. So I manifested a retrenchment at the end of my long service leave. And I was really, I sort of didn't consciously want to do it, but I did. And when it happened, I was a bit shocked. And I was a bit dismayed as well, because nobody likes to be, made redundant. And I thought, oh, well, it's sort of like something that I totally take responsibility for, because I created that. So, and I thought, wow, if I can create that, I can create anything. So, it's been a bit of a journey since then. And, doing life coaching, and that is great. But I wanted to reach more people than in my local area as well. And I absolutely love NLP. When I studied NLP, that was just mind-blowing to me. Yeah. So, and just the concepts behind it, and how you can actually change your whole life just by rewiring your brain yourself, It's just it's just.
And when you were retrenched or made redundant, or because you manifested that, how what were some of the things that you then used, or tools maybe, to help yourself when you thought, wow, I'm in this situation now, because that type of stuff can sometimes affect your self-confidence, or what am I going to do now? So what what's some of the stuff, the tools or whatever, because you've been doing your training for your coaching, what's some of the tools that you were able to use for that to help pull you out of that?
Yeah, I guess one of the most, profound ones that I did was silver training. So that's going into your alpha brainwaves, consciously going into your alpha brainwaves and creating your own experiences in life, the ones that you want. So alpha brainwaves are a slower sort of brainwave pattern than in our waking consciousness we have beta brainwaves. So you slow it down by doing some meditative type activities, and then you start creating the reality that you do want, which was really interesting stuff, and stuff that I love even today, even beyond all the other stuff that I've looked at and looked into, and new stuff that's come out. I mean, Jose Silva was doing his work. He came up with the concepts in the 40s, in the 1940s. So, and he developed it until he's passed away, and I think his children are sort of still doing it to some degree. But it's helped so many people, and it really firmly puts the power of your reality and your life in your hands, so that you are, you're not only a co-creator, you are a creator too. So you create your experiences, and, that was probably the most profound thing that I learned. And then, all the coaching skills and the NLP skills as well, that just helps me on a daily basis. And, so many different gems out of that. I could probably talk for the next 3 hours, but I don't want to put everyone to sleep. So I won't do that.
Well, give us one example. Is there something in particular that sort of you just went, well, it kind of blew your mind, or something?
Well, I think, one of the things that we did in the silver training was actually case studies. So, you connect with someone else that you work with, and they've chosen a family member or a relative who's suffering some health issues, and your job is to go into alpha and connect with them and see if you can tell what that was. So I've never considered myself to have any of these skills whatsoever. I'm the girl most likely to not have these skills if I was, if it was voted on. So, but after doing that, I realised that I was quite accurate in the things that I came up with. And the other thing that I really got to learn is that, and especially through the NLP. So with the NLP, you learn that 40% of the population are visual, 40% are kinesthetic, 10% are auditory, and 10% are auditory visual. Auditory. God, I've forgotten the word now. So anyway, what that means is the way that we use our language and the experiences that we have. If you're talking in a visual language to someone who's kinesthetic, you're not going to connect with them. So what I learned from doing, the NLP and doing when someone tells you to visualize something and you're a kinesthetic person, and this is what I used to do, because I'm kinesthetic person, which means I'm in my feelings more than, sort of in pictures in my head. And so I would actually really beat myself up because I couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
I mean, I can visualize, but it's not my primary mode. My primary mode is to go into my feelings. So, sort of like, instead of saying, what does that look like? If I say, what does that feel like? I can connect with it much more easily. So anybody out there that's kinesthetic or even auditory, and you're not sort of getting, because the visual people sort of tend to have most of the, I don't know, they seem to have most of the real estate in terms of, change, going forward and creating change, because everyone's telling you to visualize. You do vision boards, picture this in your head and, all that sort of thing. And if you're not a visual person, that's going to be hard for you. So, well, that's probably one of the biggest aha moments that I've had. And I've told other coaches this as well, and that's helped them when they haven't been aware of it. A lot of them are obviously aware of it. But, so, don't beat yourself up if you can't visualize. Go into your feelings, because ultimately you're heading towards the feelings anyway, because it's the feelings and the emotions that are going to change your experience. So really, the kinesthetic people have got to jump on the visual people.
Yeah.
Because the visual people usually have to visualise something before they go into their feelings.
Yeah.
So how cool is that? Go to kinesthetic.
That's it. And especially, like with the whole mind-body connection as well, when it comes to emotion, it makes it, and feelings, it makes such a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. See, that was worthwhile me asking that question.
Well, you're a very good interviewer. You're sort of drawing it all out.
That's because I'm interested. That's why. That's why I don't really have questions or anything like that, because I just like to sit there and listen and ask the questions that I'm interested in. So,
good.
So that's good. Hey, have you ever? I'm not sure if you do this or not, but like, do you do retreats?
No, I mean, that's probably on the planning board at some time in the future. But because I sort of do a lot of things apart from publishing and coaching. So I've been an astrologer for 25 years.
Tell me about that. How come I didn't know that? Tell me.
Because I told you I'm an introvert. I'm not going to tell you everything about myself unless you ask me.
Okay, so what else? As an astrologer, what else? Tell me what else.
Oh, okay. So at the moment I'm creating a deck of tarot cards, because this is a little backstory. So I've studied the tarot for 25 years, but I hadn't touched it, especially when I was doing the IT. I sort of really went into my left brain with the IT, because there was so much information that I had to get across. So I tended to let my right brain stuff go to the dogs, so to speak. And I didn't really look at it for a long time. And then when after the retrenchment and I got into the life coaching and stuff, I thought, well, I'm going to pick up my tarot cards again and have a look at those. So I've had this one deck for, I think, since 1988. So it's probably before some people who were born were listening to this. So, that's an admission. But this deck of tarot cards, and I thought, I really need to get into them and get reconnected to them. So I started up a Facebook page called A Tarot a Day, and I thought I invite people to come and get a tarot reading every day, and that'll force me to do this reading every day. So I actually wrote out I did all the readings, for over a year. So I've got over 380 tarot readings for, it's just one card at a time. Yeah. So I thought, well, what am I going to do with that? Because I like repurposing things, and I like, I don't like, all the effort that I put into that to go to waste. And I thought, I'll have to create some tarot cards. And of course, I haven't picked up a drawing pencil since I was a kid. And, I could barely draw a stick figure. So now I'm getting into art and getting, sort of wakening up the right side of the brain and getting into a more artistic side. So I've started creating tarot cards as well.
Oh. So as an astrologer and, using tarot cards, and also with your NLP and coaching, like, I just started, I was thinking about how cool a retreat would be, like how cool you could make a retreat.
And that would be awesome. I mean, I did start up a meetup group late last year, which was experiential astrology, and that was just a local group. So I had all these people turning up at my house that I'd never met before. And I made some really nice friendships out of that, and that just kept going. And at some point I thought, I'm getting burnout. I'm trying to do too many things. And I think that's what a lot of us do. We try and, sort of put things into a schedule and then try to stick to that schedule and then keep stacking things on and stacking things on. And I thought, well, this has been great, but it's not going to go forward. So I stopped doing that. And so I don't really, I haven't really been doing readings and stuff like that, although I did do that for a little bit of time. And I did have, I also had a wish club. So I started and I ran that for about a year and a half, which was twice a month. On the new moon and the full moon, I get together on Zoom with a group of people, a group of these women and we'd actually talk about how to set our intentions using the cycles of the moon. So, that was pretty cool too. So I had a lot of fun with that. But, I moved on to the next thing because if I'm not inspired, I will stop. And it's interesting because this magazine I've been doing for 5 years and I'm still doing it. I mean, still working on it today to get that love and that next issue out. Yeah. So that's still inspiring me, which is a good sign. Yeah.
Well, it is. And the cool thing is that when you have other interests as well, it's good because then you can draw from different stuff from that for the magazine and the podcast as well.
Oh, yeah. So in the magazine, this one, I always do an astrology column on the theme. So this, I always call it 12 signs of, insert theme here. So because it's a female entrepreneur issue, I call it 12 signs of success. Yeah. So if you want to know what your particular success mode is based on your sun sign, which is, it's pretty lightweight stuff, but if you really want to know what's going on, you got to get your chart done and look into all the different aspects of things. So So
cool. Look at you superstar.
No. I'm just what do you call it? A hopeless multi-passionate sort of person who's I
like that. I love that. I'm so glad that you came on today, and then I'm like talking about all this stuff with you.
It's been good. Yeah, you're drawing me out. You're drawing it all out of me, Mandy. Call you David Frost.
She goes, no more. Oh, that's cool. See, it was supposed to be. That's why we had that little interruption, that technical thing, and so you could come back and share all this. See.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't. If I didn't have that glitch. So and maybe to reward the people that stuck with us, because if the screen goes black, I would go, oh, it must be over.
No, it's people watch a replay anyway, so it's all good. Well, that's cool. Oh, well, thanks so much for coming on today. It's been heaps of fun.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll get you just to say your website again and also the Facebook page as well.
Oh, okay. So it is smarthealthywomen.com, and the Facebook page is just put in Smart Healthy Women in Facebook, and you'll get the Facebook page.
Yay!
And where we share all sorts of good stuff. Yeah,
that's it. Oh, thanks so much. It's been really cool having you on today, and I like catching up with you like this because I get to know you better, and each time I talk to you, I find out more stuff about you, and I just, you're such a lovely person, and you have a really nice vibe about you. So I like catching up.
Oh, thanks, Mandy. So do you. And I love chatting with you too. It's just been really awesome, and also watching your journey. And if you want to, write any more articles for me, you can do that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I will.
You're line anytime. You're like old friends now.
Sounds good. That's awesome. And that you can always reach out to me if you want to do any more liveys.
Yeah.
High five. Well, that's been interesting.
Once we get over the technical issues, it's quite good.
That's it. We have it was just like, I think it was just the energy behind it all. It was just like we were about to bring some awesomeness, and it was just like, now we're ready.
Yeah. We just needed take a bit of a longer run up.
That's it. Awesome. Well, thanks heaps, and everyone, make sure that you head over to Estelle's website or the Facebook page, and any questions that you maybe have, about the magazine or a podcast or whatever, just put it in the comments below. Because I know Samantha wanted to know about the magazine as well. That's why I asked you to just say the website name and stuff again as well, because her 14-year-old daughter, she said, I would be interested in that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks everyone for sticking with us
Yeah, you're
through
right.
the questions, and have a great day.
Awesome. Okay, well, big hugs. See you later, Estelle.
See you, Dan.
Take care.
Bye.